talented players, not only in the region, but in the world. Maybe he hasn't gotten the confidence to perform on the big stage, but overall, I would say OG, heavy favorites coming in, especially with the day to shake it off. Fly, great captain experience. They won the last major. Fnatic, to me, are massive underdogs here.
Okay, we are soon going to the draft, not yet. Because I want to hear from you guys which 2 bans are the first bans for either team. You can say 2 of the 4, or 3 of the 4.
I mean, some of it depends on first pick. So against OG, you want to be, what, targeting...
IO, probably.
I want Fnatic to ban either Tide or Enigma because I don't want them to go against the 1-2 punch.
That's fair.
I think they don't... Well, I think there's a good chance OG will ban OD. Because...
Oh, we're very close.
Yeah, they banned OD. Okay, I called one. There we go.
I called the IO ban.
And Fnatic picked the Enigma, that counts as a ban. They first picked it. Yes. They blocked it.
Yeah.
So.
I like this from OG. It's exactly what we talked about in the pregame, which is you grab the bat right early, but it doesn't reveal your laning setup.
Yep, picking bat instead of Tide. It's quite an interesting opening. Like the Enigma as a block pick. The OD ban is because it's been a Fnatic just go-to for mid one. Even Mushi's played in the safe line. It's very good against the Tide. It's even very good against the Bat Rider. 2 heroes that almost always you'll see one of picked up in the first stage for OG. The Astro works well as a counter to the Bat Lasso. The Tide just gets owned in lane by the OG, so I think that's a ban we'll see maybe all 2 to 3 games.
This is for Fnatic. Both Enigma and Beastmaster are 2 heroes that they haven't picked yet this major.
They're on the Swindle King cooler. You know, LD, I reckon Fnatic got this because Swindle King, he knows what he's talking about. NA and SEA Dota, it's on the rise.
And Fnatic was
true.
Swindle has
forgot
proven to be
about
right
the Swindle
time
King.
and time again. I don't want to doubt him.
Fnatic are doing their homework as well. They have a coach, we're not sure who it is, but they also brought a stats person with. I think
They've got a full team.
Yeah. So they all have done their research, and this is really interesting to me because personally I mean, a lot of people, I think we all said, and probably most people would say that OG are very favored coming to this match.
Yeah.
I think that that's almost entirely draft based. I expect Fly to outdraft Mushy pretty much 9 times out of 10. I think if he doesn't, it's actually very close. I think Fnatic are, in terms of their play skill, not that far behind, actually.
What do you guys... Oracle getting banned? I mean, it's good against the
Roar.
But,
that's basically it.
Are we going to see a
Unless they
Darkseer
want to
pick
go
up?
for something that Oracle counters in lane, but they already have the Beastmaster, which
Hires Beastmaster.
normally the offlaner, so...
Yeah, that's almost a certainty.
Maybe they take a page out of the book of...
Yeah, why would you ban Oracle here?
I guess it's just for the Raw. Like and it is a hero that Fly will sometimes play. You need a just stable laning support to go with the Bounty Hunter, so Oracle. They targeted Fly with both those 2 bans, the Oracle and the Venge, so they want to limit the pesky.
But he can still get
heroes.
something very similar, like a Dazzle, for example, so...
Dazzle, Disruptor, I mean,
outside chance.
it shows they're going to be playing. They're going to be very reliant on the Raw. Like I feel like if you look at like the way Complexity played, that Raw was actually like the key tool for them in the game. Like in both those games, even the game they ended up losing because it was the setup. Then they followed up with the relocate in. Like if that's going to be the main initiation because they're putting like some kind of mid carry, they're going to be running this like 2 carry lineup maybe with lacking lockdown. They're going to be very reliant on Raw. So. Just kind of protecting the Beastmaster pick with this ban.
I wonder if OG are considering banning Invoker or if they just want to give it to Fnatic because Midwan's been, I think he's played it 4 times this tournament. I think he's only won once, but most of the games he looked really good to me, just in terms of how he played the hero. Like against EG he struggled, but he just struggled generally against EG. There were some games in the tournament where I felt like, especially in the group stage, his Invoker was, good enough to carry any team, and other things didn't work out, and that was the issue. So
Invoker's not bad here. The Bounty Hunter roaming can be a problem for him, but if you Sentry, give him some help, he should be okay.
Even though, I mean, in Miracle he plays a sick Invoker too, but we haven't seen him prioritized quite as much.
The Invoker on Fnatic though, this tournament, I mean, I know mid one is a really good Invoker, but they have only won 1 out of the 4 games they played with it.
It's a pretty good Exhort Invoker game so far, I would say. They've got good setup, not amazing, but they obviously haven't picked their secondary support yet, so they could get someone who can allow them to initiate.
And I think even when you look at those stats, you can't just say, oh, we're like 1 and 3 on the hero, because, going into that last game, Complexity, we're 0-4 on Beastmaster.
Yeah.
And it's all about how well does it fit the draft? Is it going to fit our playstyle? What's the win condition going to be? So
stats don't mean everything.
An Exort Invoker with... He'll agree with you. He may be the stats guy here, but he'll definitely agree to you to some extent.
Yeah, I do. And I think the reason Fnatic are taking so long here is because they're busy trying to plan their overall approach to the lane stage. Like, how do we deal with Bounty Hunter roaming on our Enigma? I think that's the really big question for Fnatic as far as the lane stage goes. And
so this is their like pseudo Bat Rider counter. It's interesting. They banned the Venge, obviously great against Enigma.
I think it's more just having a strong lane support because Disrupt is actually not a good counter to Batrider. It's I think what most teams will say. It's not like you can. By the time you blink in, you last on, you force dive, you've already pulled the hero far enough away from his team. Like you've gotten most of what you want out of the Batrider.
Yeah, it's okay. It's also, I mean, Disruptor is just one of.
There's not really anything better left. Oracle's banned, Venge is banned. What else would you get? It's the best available.
And it's one of Net's heroes. He plays it very often. So I think the Disruptor and the Shadow Shaman are his two favored support heroes at the moment. So you play what you're comfortable with. I think it's important.
Yeah. OG Sven, we've seen this a couple times. Typically it's been Miracles here, which suggests Notel likely playing the tempo controller, which here could be the Batrider. This is why I really like the Bat first pick, because it can be played by Moon in the offlane or in the mid lane by Notel. Like there's still the Tidehunter available, there's plenty of options for that offlane role for Moon.
Miracle did really well.
There's the Invoker. I can hear. You can't, but
That's
there's
right.
an Invoker picked up.
Miracle did really well on the Sven yesterday against Virtus Pro. He brushed the armlets, and we were like trying to figure out what the reason is when you go armlets, and Blitz kind of.
The armlet was great that game. I'm surprised we don't see more Svens going for it. It goes really well with the Dominator, especially if you have someone to sustain. This game they don't, but I will be curious to see if he goes for that build again. It's very cost-efficient damage.
Yeah, Blitz was saying he probably just feels good with the item, and when you're like that level of player and you've played the hero a lot, that's a good enough reason to decide what your item build is, I think.
Both teams seem to be drafting fairly fight heavy. Is there any team you would right now prefer to see in a fight, or does it really just depend on the timing?
It all depends on the size pick, because let's say they get Moon, the Tidehunter right now, suddenly OG's team fight is pretty freaking scary. I'd say right now in a full team fight, Fnatic have more control, but you've also got Batrider to initiate, so...
Depends on like what the final pick's going to be. Like Mushi's hero as well as OG, who can run Bat in multiple roles. I completely actually forgot about the Brood, but that would have been a really good last pick for OG. As far as there not being a good lineup to deal with the Brood, you've got Enigma jungle, you run the Bat mid, put Moon on the Brood in the offlane, and suddenly you've got a very troubling Brood game.
I think DJ Enigma with BKB could be pretty scary. Yeah, I mean it's.
So you want a hero that can deal with the black hole as the last pick, or
like technically Bat you can like blink behind.
We saw
really
S-Ball blink into a hole, like which wasn't even a misplay. It's not something you can rely on.
I mean, what is there at that point? They already have their supports.
Well,
Silencer.
There you go.
Silencer.
That's the way to deal with Enigma's black hole. It's even with the BKB, you can just.
I was thinking Wyvern, but it's like they already have their two supports. So this is a core silencer.
Yep.
This is probably the no-tail hero. It's not going to be too farm dependent. It'll probably just go for like the
Don't you
utility
think it's
type
gonna
items.
be maybe Miracle?
On the silencer? I don't think so. Just because Miracle will always play the more farm dependent hero. From what I've seen, I'm not. I could definitely be wrong.
No, he does.
No, you're right.
As far as I could be wrong about who's going to play what, but I'd be surprised to see Miracle on the silencer. It's just.
Noto also plays silencer. I don't know this tournament or recently, but I've definitely seen him play a carry silencer before. It seems familiar to me.
But you put the silencer mid event against Invoker. I don't feel like it's the best matchup for silencer. With the bounty roaming, it gets a lot better.
Who do you like to see here for last pick for Fnatic?
They're already pretty covered for team fight. They have vision from the Beastmaster. They have decent damage, so I think like a well-rounded carry goes well here.
Ursa. Let's go. Mushi Ursa.
Do you really want to go for an Ursa against this Sven?
Ursa's not bad here. They don't have that much control for him.
The bigger problem is the Batrider, the Lion type hero.
So here's a suggestion. I think they need a carry which doesn't get owned by global silence. And secondly, we were discussing recently which heroes can go one-on-one against the Sven, and I think someone on the panel said Troll Wall. I know Troll's not the hero that's been picked in ages, but Troll doesn't care about global silence. Troll beats Sven. Is that a possibility?
It's a very outside possibility.
Yeah. It's outside possibility. Oh god,
very outside possibility.
I'd be happy to see it.
They have a push. They have. I can shoot a push track going.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Does not care about global silence.
Terrible last
not that scared of Sven as well.
Oh, this is actually a great Medusa game.
Lion's mana drain is actually very good against Medusa.
They can actually run the Medusa mid 2 this game if they want to, and give Invoker the safe lane. If they're worried about the bounty hunter roaming around, Medusa's just so tanky and kind of close to ungankable in the mid lane.
LD,
that may be a safe way to run the lane.
Based on draft, LD, who do you favor?
I actually really like this Medusa pick.
Okay.
I think it all comes down to the bounty hunter pressure early. If he doesn't get a lot done, I would probably favor Fnatic. If he does, OG. But I'm gonna say Fnatic has impressed me at the draft, and I'm giving them the edge here.
I think Fnatic's draft is just flat up better right now. Like the silencer, I don't think is an amazing pick. It gives them it. The Enigma's not. We always talk about it. You don't pick this hero for the black hole. That's
Yeah, I agree Fnatic's graft better if OG don't snowball from early on, and I think
Yep.
they very well might. So I actually think OG are going to win.
Okay, we are gonna find out who's gonna be doing better this first game of the best of 3. It is time for OG versus Team Fnatic with Capitalist and Blitz.
Thank you, Shiver. Yes, we're here in a packed arena for OG.
Thirty seconds to battle. The battle begins.
Claimed by the beast, coined for me. First blood. Here you die.
The silencer to lane pretty decently against mid one, and that's what I think that OG want to do. They saw EG's game plan was to shut down this guy, and they realized a lot of the game plan goes around him, and so OG are focusing quite a lot of attention on him by putting both the bounty hunter and a hero that does pretty well against the mid. But Fnatic in some ways have countered that by giving Mushi, instead of a space creator like we've seen in the past, they give him the best possible late game that you can get out of the Medusa.
Yeah, the Medusa was definitely a bit of a surprise to me, at least. Anyway, I did not expect that whatsoever.
Oh, Moon at top. That's 4 stacks on Mushi. I think he's just dead. Yep.
Yeah, easy kill for Moon. He's probably going to be dying here as the Thunderstrike plus the tower shot should be enough. He's trying to heal himself, and he's actually going to be able to live just ever so barely. He still had a Fairy Fire in reserve to be able to go through that. Looks like he's going to deny himself to the neutrals. He just took a moment to buy out his Tranquil Boots, and he will be a very happy Batrider when dangers perhaps of getting some of those hard carries in lane. Maybe off laner like Moon is able to pressure that.
That's the second time this tournament too that I've seen him be able to get a solo kill against a dual safe lane. I think the first time we saw it was against LGD actually. I can't remember. I feel like it was MMY that he got it against, but I'm not 100% certain about the groups, but pretty fantastic start for him, especially being able to pick up a kill on Mushi. I'm on LD's account right now. I'm like so tempted to just mess with the settings, but I'm not gonna do that.
That's okay, my mouse isn't even working. So 2-0 right now, an early start for OG. As Beastmaster and Enigma at this bottom lane is actually putting some pressure. Mid lane, it looks like our silencer's dropping really damn low, and he is going to be just barely getting away from that Invoker. Healing South brings him right back up to full. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Crit try to provide some pressure. They're actually going to go in for DJ, but they have full Eidolons here. A nice double stun from Fly. Fly may be going down to the Eidolons, but now they have the stun up on Ohio. Maybe they can't give this support kill. Turn around, they're going to turn towards Crit instead. The Counter Ward will be enough to make sure they get that kill, but still, it's going to be well worth it. His Miracle is just being fed so much gold. If only he could get that last hit. Ohio barely sneaks himself away, and they will not be able to make that a 1-for-2. But still a 1-for-1 trade off that. Miracle does manage to get himself at least some assist gold off of.
Yeah, but you cost a lot of the regen, you force the lineup back, and you manage to put some pressure on the bounty hunter. I think that's a somewhat okayish trade for Fnatic, but Mushi at top. He now picks up the stick for himself, but he has to respect this lane cap. And at top, that's 3 stacks, that's 4 in a second.
He's going to be run down so easily.
Mushi is so dead.
There's nothing Disruptor can really do about this. Disruptor being one of those kind of heroes that only comes online at level 6. He doesn't have the same kind of defensive power to protect against a Batrider if this Medusa just oversteps herself.
I can't tell you how bad this is right now for Fnatic. Well, I can, because Moon... He's playing Batrider, typically a hero that gets zoned out, you're forced to jungle. The fact that he's getting the majority of his farm from the lane is kind of unheard of. And most of the time you see this hero just stack up for himself, give up on the lane. The fact that he's able to abuse this, I mean, game is starting so well for OG is they've gotten 2 kills on Mushi pretty unhindered. And we talked about how integral he was to the game plan. Like if mid one's going to have difficulties in the mid lane, then he really needs to get a lot out of the safe lane.
And let's not forget the roaming bounty hunter. It's pretty essential for you to actually be a part of kills in order to actually get some experience progression. So the fact that he's been a part of several of them now is really going to help his level 6.
Moon's got the Firefly, and mid one, I really want you to pay attention to this, Cap. Like he's playing down and to the left, or to the right, close to his tower, to make sure that if anybody rotates in from the top, which is the vulnerable area, he can always react in time. And that's why Moon's almost immediately going to give up on that kill. Like for a quick second, mid one showed himself on the left, and as a mid laner, you have to like catch yourself and be like, that's a terrible idea. You just leave yourself open for death.
So Moon, it's still efficient, right, because he's able to help control that top rune, and we'll rotate up to the top lane in time, but Ohio at the bottom lane looks like he's going to be bursting down. The Malphite's trying to give him enough space, but another right-click healing style comes in, but Crit, he's now here, throws out the Shuriken, picks up the kill, 5-1 now, as OG are just stomping over this laning phase against Fnatic.
Yeah, and Miracle cleans up a lot of the Eidolons that he was not microing just because he was getting busy with the Bounty Hunter, but No Tail mid is probably going to be dead here as Silencer has 0 defensive capabilities.
Yeah, No Tail doesn't stand a chance. This is already a bit of a tough matchup. Mushi is going to be forced to TP away, though, from Moon, as he does have no levels of Flame Break, can't stop a TP out. Still, though, that's going to be a lot of regen burned from Mushi.
I mean, that's a level 6 Bad Rider at just 5 minutes into the game. If you compare the levels, oftentimes as an offlaner, you want to compare yourself to the enemy support to kind of see where you stand, but the fact that he's out-leveling this Medusa in the safe lane, it's got to be pretty troublesome for Fnatic, and at top, Moon, he's going to level the ultimate. He knows that Mushi isn't quite level 6, but the timing of this is going to really favor Mushi.
All they require is Crit to be nearby, and it looks like they will be able to get this grab. Mushi, I think he was hoping to get his level 6 before all this happened, and unfortunately that's not going to be the case. It looks like he should still die at the last bit of damage. No, it's not enough. My god, all these kills, they are just on a razor's edge time and time again.
Still, you force out the Stone Gaze, and most importantly, you're forcing Mushi back, which in a lot of ways is perfectly fine too. And this Medusa has nothing, whereas Miracle, the guy you almost never want to
let him free farm. Yeah. He's almost got double the CS of the Medusa.
And it's not like mid one is doing exceedingly well in this mid lane. I did like the idea of putting the Enigma bottom to try to force out a lot of the farm from Miracle. Like put pressure, deny the creeps, but it just hasn't worked out. Like Crit has just been too active on the map.
Our Silencer is currently 20-11 compared to the 22-17. So if you excuse that the gank from the Disruptor, No Tail's actually doing pretty damn well for himself in this mid lane against an Egg Sword Invoker.
No, you're going to be incredibly happy because it forced the Disruptor rotation, and during that time Moon was able to continue to play further up in that lane, and that's the little repercussions it has. And there is a sentry in this mid lane, so mid one should be perfectly okay here. And he's even going to place a ward for himself. Crit's going to verify this. He might even go down as he's taking a lot of damage, but
No Tail just makes it a bit too difficult for mid one to actually really pressure Crit further. So they at least know about the counter ward, and because of the ward just placed down, they may actually be able to get both. We'll have to see. No Tail does pick up his level 6, but no signs of the ultimate. Goes for a 2-1-3 build so far.
At this bottom lane, Miracle continues to get quite a lot of farm. He's got the Helm of Dom already. Just compare him to the next CSer.
And this is not going to be a team from Fnatic that can actually pressure the Ancient stack very well.
No, not at all. They were not geared up to just play the initiation game because they don't have any gap closers is the issue. Like they rely pretty heavily on the Disruptor for the glimpse, but he's not really getting the amount of levels that he needs. I guess he's doing okay in the context of the game, but it's going to be DJ that's the core hero for them. Like he has to be really clutch here. He's going to check the bottom rune, fly, kind of scouting around, but
8-minute rune. Bounty rune is picked up by the Disruptor. Was hoping to be able to snag that one away. That's actually going to try and lay down, a counter ward to be able to block out the Ancients. No surprise there. That's really the only play Fnatic have, as we were talking about. They can't actually pressure that Ancient stack. All they can hope to do is deny it.
Yeah, if we take a look at net worth, the Bat Rider's already well ahead of the Medusa. I mean, Moon is just dominating right now in this game. He's done so much for his team, just the amount of pressure that he's applied to the safe lane. even the one death that he has is just the neutrals.
Oh, nice stun from Fly right over the cliff. It's not going to result in anything much, but it's a bit of harassment damage as he already made the long trek over here. It looks like Fnatic are going to go for a smoke at this bottom lane. Three-man
Crit's gonna
smoke the
die for
bottom,
this.
but oh, that's not good.
Yeah, he died trying to de-ward, but unfortunately the sentry was on the other side, and that's just going to be a free kill for
Ooh,
Fnatic.
Fnatic actually sneaking in the Roshan. They three-man smoked it, but it's just the Beastmaster and Enigma who go inside the Roshan pit, and that's really all that's required. Net will take over the bottom lane trying to get his level 6. They're leaving Mushi alone right now against Moon, as it seems like the phase boots and Ring of Aquila is enough for him to be able to at least stay away from the Batrider and not get caught.
I do really like the timing of this too from Fnatic. I feel like they've planned this out pretty well, but Ohio, you have to be careful. But unfortunately for OG, there's almost no chance that they spot this coming, and now we see why the Enigma pick was so big for them. And they're utilizing it a little bit differently, Cap, than most of the teams that we've seen here at this event. Oftentimes, you'll just see the Enigma non-stop jungle, just because you can't pressure the jungle very easily. But they've opted to use this to go for the early Roshan.
I kind of like this just because we saw the way that he was pressuring the bottom lane, but we also knew that was going to affect his farm. Well, if they take Roshan like this, if they take Roshan like this will actually help him catch back up to more of the norm when it comes to Enigma levels and gold.
Yeah, that's essentially a free tower for their entire team, and most importantly, that just kind of puts OG at unrest. They're like, what? You guys took the Roshan during that time? Like, in some ways, it would have not been okay if Fnatic was getting pressured all over the map, because that was a heavy time commitment, and from one of their initiators, but because of this passive style game, you gotta do something.
Dire's middle
Oh,
tower is under
top
attack.
lane, they're going to try and catch Mushi here. If they successfully get this kill, this will mean a Blink Dagger complete for Moon, and they're actually going to commit so many heroes. No Tail almost dies there to the Mystic Snake. He's actually going to TP back. Fly has made his way up, but we do see the laning ward that was placed out by Fnatic that sees all of this. Nice Sunstrike from mid one.
Yeah.
They're still going to go for the dive though.
top.
Mushi is going to be chased down, but they have a TP. Disruptor brings him right back. That's going to be free kill on Moon. OG just being a bit over aggressive now.
If you show the silencer at top 2, I feel like it's almost like too obvious of a bait.
Yes.
Like, why is a 300 HP silencer right there? They happen to have the ward as well, which OG can't really know about, and this should kind of confirm it for them, but I think that sentry's actually just outside.
Yes. Ever so barely.
That's as close as it gets.
Miracle is going to be going for the Helmet Dominator into an Armlet build. See the Blink Dagger sometime after. But his team still needs to buy him some more time. The early part of the laning phase went fine, but things are rapidly turning against OG.
Yeah, they're just being a little bit sloppy, and it's kind of okay, but because Miracle's still getting a lot of farm.
Moon's trying to catch up to Ohio, turn around the roar. They have the Sunstrike over the top. Fly's going to share some of that damage. It looks like Moon may survive, but he's still being slowed down. The Malefice plus the Cold Snap. Moon's not going anywhere, and neither is Fly. He comes right back thanks to the Disruptor glimpse. They do have DJ who's going to be taken out here from the Silencer. So there goes that Aegis. But OG don't really have a way to be able to capitalize on any sort of positional game. There's the Armlet.
That really only cost Fnatic the Aegis though, and I mean they've really slowed down the farm of Moon. At one point this guy was looking at like 12-minute off-lane Blink Dagger, contesting in lane, which is pretty nuts, but so far, when it comes to just like the mini engagements, it feels like Fnatic are picking up, and this is a variation on the 5-man that we were seeing from them earlier, but this looks a lot more precise. And I like the heroes too, because I felt like when they were going for the 5-man before, it was almost all inny. It was like, okay, we play this 20-minute face rush style. If it doesn't work, we just kind of lose a la MVP Phoenix. But this time around, they've backed it up with some late game. They're leaving themselves options. And I feel like this is kind of a nice evolution for Fnatic so far.
Well, the first tower was denied by a nice last hit from No Tail. The second one at top lane will be claimed by the Medusa. That's a lot of gold rolling in the last few minutes for Fnatic. Miracle's going to be able to get his own source of net worth, though. He's going to have the Ancient stack. He'll quickly clear through, and that'll start getting him a bit closer to that Blink Dagger. Still, though, do you think that this is perhaps OG just getting ahead of themselves? I mean, if they just sat, like, literally just a minute and a half at one point in time of Moon farming, they would have completed that Blink Dagger so much earlier.
Yeah, I think they're just being a little bit overzealous. OG just have to kind of take a step back and say, okay, let's look at this game right now. Things aren't going that great. The laning phase went so well, but we shouldn't try to like recover back that position. Just kind of focus on getting some farm out. The bad news for them though is that during this entire time, Ohio was free farming, and that's the great part about taking that mid, or that bottom tier 1 and that mid tier 1, is Radiant loses so much control. It's not easy for them to just instantly gank over. Oftentimes, when you saw Ohio free farm bottom while his team was taking that top tower, you could just instantly TP there with 2 heroes, pressure him, punish the fact that 1 hero is off the map, but OG would have had to already been moving and anticipating him being down there for that to be possible, and that's why you can get control of the jungle like this.
Fnatic are gonna continue to put more pressure in the mid lane. Earlier on, they were actually trying to bait out Ohio with some sort of 3-man or 4-man smoke, but OG did not take that bait whatsoever. They're taking Blitz's advice right now and slowing down the game, trying to get their basic items.
I mean, there's no reason to force this game right now. Like, you still got Miracle, who's absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And you've got the Bounty Hunter, you've got a Batrider who can create a lot of space for you. I think you just be a little bit more patient. Mushi doesn't have an overwhelming amount of farm yet, so much that you have to worry about him quite.
You only have maybe 5 more minutes though until he completes that Linken's, and at that point in time, the Batrider is going to have a harder time catching that carry out.
Yeah. And Fnatic, I think they should make the decision to just give up on that top tier 1. A lot of people might wonder, why are you just giving up a tier 1 tower for free? But this tower positionally doesn't really mean too much for them, and it would almost take them too much time. Like, you're getting a lot of farm on the map with what Fnatic is doing, and I think you just continue to pressure this tier 2 bottom, keep establishing map control and tempo, allow OG to kind of overexert themselves going for this top tower.
Especially with the way that Fnatic have already claimed the tier 1 in mid, they're now going to get the tier 2 at bottom. It's just easier to claim control of the enemy jungle, right? Because OG can't lay the same kind of claim on the dire side jungle.
Yeah, and OG actually have to come back for this. There's almost no chance that you allow Fnatic to just get this tower for free. And did you see that forward spirit timing too for mid 1? Being able to pick up the courier kill.
Very nice timing from mid 1.
Yeah, I think he was just looking to cut off the wave.
OG are really sticking it. They're like not fully backing. They're keeping 2 heroes to the top lane, knowing, you know, somebody's going to come back and farm eventually from Fnatic. We'll see if Mushi pushes out too far though.
This is so smart from Net though. He's not showing himself on the map. He knows that this top is going to be the target, and he knows that OG are desperate to establish some map control. So he's just sitting behind him, making absolute sure that Mushi isn't going to die before his crucial item timing. And this is what you want to do. I think we saw it yesterday in Complexity.
The jump on a fly. That's going to be a quick pop there. Another kill for mid 1.
Just blown up by that combination, but when a hero is about to complete an item timing cap, a lot of teams, I think, better, like tier 2 or tier 3, they say, okay, we'll just let him farm by himself, get that item, but that's when teams like OG will be like, let's kill that guy. He's like 300 gold away, let's kill him, slow down that item timing.
If we want this Blink Dagger to really be effective, we should try and shut down the Linken's for as long as possible.
Yeah, exactly, but with Fnatic, they're doing the right thing. They're making sure that Mushi gets it.
Yeah.
They're not just letting him, you know, do your own thing. They're going to sit a hero behind him. OG does the correct thing and recognizes that. It's just good play and counterplay by both teams.
Full Rod of Atos complete for mid 1. Meanwhile, Miracle, he's going to be jumped on, but unfortunately that was not at the kinetic field that actually caught him. And he's actually going to go in here. The Medusa has popped the ultimate though. This is going to be a slow pullback from Moon. So damn slow with the Rod of Atos combined. Fly still going to push forward though, managed to get the stun onto Mushi, stalling his retreat and start eating through that mana as well. Moon's going to try and go for another initiation, but it looks like with that mech, all bets are off. Fnatic are going to be able to get away to safety.
That's so good for Fnatic though. And the Batrider ultimate, not a big deal. OG can reset off of that, but something that you can't get back is the Silencer ultimate. The cooldown on it is so long that you can't afford not to use it for something. And obviously, No-Tail thought that there was going to be some sort of follow-up, but unable to get one. And I think that's Fnatic's time, honestly, to just kind of press forward.
Dust being popped. Crit almost getting caught by that one. Really good read there from Ohio.
Yeah, Fnatic is going to hit the sick timing. They've got the Lincoln Sphere completed on Mushi. They can get the Necro 2 pretty soon on Ohio. Almost a BKB on DJ, complete with the mech. I think once all those item timings hit, you can even go for a Roche fight, and immediately thereafter go for some sort of high ground potential, and use the Medusa as a sieger instead of an ultra late gamer. But
Another ward, counter ward combination of Fnatic is going to be able to spot out the rotation. They're going to be able to pop Moon, it looks like, with the Black Hole, Sunstrike combination. Couple more hits, and they should be able to get the kill, but it looks like he's got enough space for his bottle.
that was the shortest range tornado I've ever seen.
Crit was also able to get himself away. Still, OG needed to actually make something happen. Fnatic are just counterplaying them every single step of the way.
They didn't use anything, I guess Black Hole, but Black Hole isn't integral to their strategy, I think.
Yeah.
It's not as big as Globalist for OG.
Miracle has the completed S and Y, so BKB next, right?
I think so. He also needs to get
if you're not going to go with the Blink Dagger before, then feels like you could just full commit.
Oh, Miracle might actually just be caught out here.
Yeah, he's going to be stunned up once again for the Beastmaster. The Sunstrike deals about half his HP. He turns and fights as best he can with the armlet, knowing he's not going to be able to escape, but Fnatic just kite him around as best as they can. 5-9 now. What a huge turnaround this was, as what was the score earlier? 5-1 or something? Yeah. Fnatic have just been on a clean spree now.
That's exactly what I was about to point out. I was like, remember when this game was 5-1 and we were talking about how Moon was getting solo kills on Mushi, but I mean, Fnatic said, screw the laning phase, don't worry about it too much. And that's what a veteran team does, honestly. They say, that wasn't the point of our lineup. The laning phase was never meant to be overwhelmingly strong. What is meant to be strong is we hit these item timings, we picked up a Roshan that they didn't expect, and now we've kind of got back on track. Whereas OG, it felt like they were trying to reclaim what they had lost a little bit too much.
Yeah. And look at all this aggressive vision that Fnatic have set up. They made basically a clean line in front of these tier 2 tower areas. And they'll know if OG ever push back out.
Yeah. And this is part of the issue with running like a one position or two position silencer is it's really hard for him to come back into the game. He doesn't have flash farm, he doesn't have an escape mechanism, so he can't really just split push a lane and get back and maximize farm. This is a hero that was meant to be ahead, but
Fnatic know about this one, and they're going to actually quickly go to the high ground here. They don't want to be caught.
Fnatic is doing this so well right now.
The Blink is in a bad position. Moon is actually still going to be able to catch Net to get down the Fnatic field. Miracle is going to be able to blow him up before the Static Storm comes down. Mushi has popped the ultimate though, and that means OG cannot turn and fight. Crit just lays out one more track. They do manage to get the silence, and they're blocked in this tight little area. Miracle's trying to push through. The Flame Break brings the back. He managed to get the hit. Finish him off. The Link has blocked out the finger of death, but it doesn't seem to matter. Miracle will get on top of Mushi for the triple kill. They're turned now back for Ohio. He just hopes to be able to get no tail on his way out, but no chance. OG, they strike hard despite Fnatic having full knowledge of what was coming. They were just a bit too slow to react.
Yeah, and Sven just runs in there Terminator style, locks onto a target. That was the worst possible position for Fnatic to fight in. It was this like tight ladder area where they were trying to they were like scrambling, but they tried to split up, but Miracle had the perfect angle on them. He kept cleaving, didn't really care about the fact that the Medusa was somewhat tanky, because he's like, okay, you guys are stacked up. I'm never going to get a better opportunity than this.
If only Net had not been caught on the low ground. I mean, the rest of Fnatic had the right idea. Net was just a little bit far behind. If they get to that high ground, they can stand there and wait for OG to come to them, and then they've got actually a significant advantage. The smoke surprise potential and everything is completely mitigated by that.
Yeah, part of the issue too is that losing your Disruptor is pretty bad there, just because he's your control factor for Miracle and the rest of the heroes. And most importantly, he can cut off like the entrance. Imagine if Net's there, Miracle tries walking up the hill, he places the kinetic field behind him so that nobody can follow in. Then you've got a situation where you can kite that Sven. Fnatic are smartly just going to regroup back up because they know that the global is down, but unfortunately for them, Moon does have the lasso available, and fighting Batrider around the Roshan pit never works out.
Does Batrider have the Force Staff yet? Yes, he does, so that makes it all the more dangerous.
Yeah, so they're just going to back out, wait for a better timing, but I mean, Fnatic, they did a lot of things well in the mid game. Like, mad props to them. They worked out how to fight around their lineup, but it almost just feels like that one fight kind of just reset them. Like, all the hard work that they had done for 10 minutes is just like, well, we'll take one bad fight.
Now OG are looking like a pretty daunting force at this point, with a Sven sitting at 14,000 net worth. Fnatic are gonna try and find an opening now with their 4-man smoke behind Mushi's. Medusa sitting in that mid lane. Moon is going to try and go. He's actually going to be popping his smoke. He runs right into them. He's going to be blown up almost immediately as everybody from Fnatic blow their spells. And now OG are on the way out. Miracle's already been slowed down. He's still the BKB. BKB is going to be popped by DJ. He needs to get off the black hole. He's successful, but there goes the global silence, stopping him in his tracks. Miracle will be able to finish off the Enigma, but can't lay his claws onto anybody else. A 1-for-1 trade-off there, as now OG start making their way to the Roshan pit, but I don't think they actually have enough of an advantage. Yes, the Batrider's back up, but God's Strength is coming down.
Yeah, they do have the Medusa Stone Gaze available. She wasn't able to pop it because of the global, but No Tail might just get caught on the low ground, but he gets force-staffed out.
Good save. Mushi's blown his ultimate. OG. Oh, that's a bad position. Miracle's actually put right back into the Roshan pit. Now he's turned into a stone. They're going to be able to right-click him down as much as possible. Miracle puts himself on the far right side of the pit. On the other side of the ice wall, Roshan smashes. They're actually coming through with this. Mushi, he's trying to stay out of this Roshan pit, fighting up against OG, but he's just sitting on top of the flames. He's out of mana. He cannot be fighting in that situation. Fnatic, they managed to barely get away with the rest of their heroes as mid-1 is actually going to tick out with a track hold on top of him. How did OG manage to win that fight?
I mean, I think it was just they were able to bring their spend to everybody else, but once again, Iron Fly is just going insane in this fight, but Mushi did buy back, as did Ohio. They're going to get that kill, but they want more out of this. The Roshan is minimum for them at this point, Cap. They've committed so much to this. Moon doesn't want to exactly give it up, but the Flame Break doesn't manage to bring any of them up.
All he can really do is slow them down. He is basically by himself. Crit's going to throw down a track. And Moon, he actually gets a little bit too far into the bit. He was hoping to be able to lay down some Firefly fire, but that doesn't happen. He gets blown up by Ohio. Now they're going to be able to complete Roshan.
This was so hotly contested. I think neither team wanted to give it up.
I mean, I can understand to a certain extent Fnatic. Do you think that much of their tempo is reliant on Roshan?
I think it is for going high ground, but they committed a lot of buybacks for that.
But do you think it's necessary for them to go high ground right now? I mean, they've got this great late game in Medusa and Boker.
They might be really concerned about the Sven right now.
Okay.
And they can probably feel how far ahead he is, but to add to the point, by the way, when you said how did the fight go so wrong, it was just a good combination of OG constantly kiting and circling around non-stop. You notice that because of the Batrider sticky, if he's able to just get like 2 stacks on, and you've got one lion over here, and they just kept moving and circling, and they played that fight really well. And then they dragged everybody from Fnatic over to the Sven. Miracle's like, look over here, he got 2 or 3 hits off, cleaved down people low enough. And that was just Fnatic being a little bit too over-eager. They're like, we got the Sven! Do everything to drop him. It's like, don't walk into the pit with him, man. You guys are all range heroes.
They just walked all into the pit like that. And Miracle, I mean, even if he did die, he got off enough right clicks. That was just absurd. Fnatic going to be regretting that one big time, as this was a Dusa that was actually getting quite the large amount of net worth from that 15 to 20 minute marker, and now she's still sitting on that Lincoln's Yasha that she had so long ago.
At Fnatic, you committed so much to this Aegis. You have to like play aggressively now, I think. There's almost no chance. There's no chance that your game plan was like, we're gonna commit 7 heroes to this to this Aegis. Like, you gotta get a lot out of this.
Yeah, you're definitely not gonna be using this as farming Aegis, that's for sure. Mooney is gonna be brought back. They do manage to get the force staff outside of the Fnatic field.
Needed the roar immediately.
Yeah.
But it's not going to slow down their tempo. I think Fnatic still go for this push straight up.
They do have the Global Silence plus Lasso combination. The Lincolns is proc there. And Fnatic, they just have to back out. It seems like if the Lincolns is ever proc, they just have to run away.
Yeah. Ohio has honestly, for me, been hit the hardest by all of these exchanges. Like, he's been a constant recipient of getting cleaved, and also he was the first to buy back on his team to try to enable that Roshan, and it slowed down his item tidings quite a bit.
Moon is going to be looking for an opening here. If you can find anybody in this jungle area alone, that'll be the free pickoff that actually allows OG to maintain control despite Fnatic holding on to the Aegis. But it looks like Fnatic, they've backed up long enough, and they're going to go for another 5-man push at the top lane.
Yeah, and Fnatic, they're in a pretty good position with the Aegis Medusa, and Ohio's going to jump forward.
Long range roar there. He's going to be able to catch out Fly. Fly's brought back, but a nice 2-man stun from Miracle. Still though, Mushi popped the ultimate in time. Miracle's got the full BKB, but he's turned into a stone. He's now trying to push forward. Oh, DJ, he's been caught by Moon as well. That's 2 down. Fnatic now, full retreat. They're going to be losing net on top of everything else. And we can't forget about this track goal that is just rolling in for OG now. Bad fight after bad fight. It was resulting in so much of a net worth disruption as Fnatic were holding on to a good lead.
This Sven right now is doing so much work for them as Miracle just cuts through everything.
Yeah. He's got a full-out moon shard.
This amount of net worth at this point in time, like 28 minutes in, having a BKB. Just look at the items visually. I don't even have to list them out like I was going to. Any casual watcher of this game should understand. Like, this is a ton. He's 6k ahead of the next highest hero in the game. 19 minutes in, I don't even know what else is expected of him.
He's doubled no-tail. If that doesn't tell you everything about OG's playstyle, I don't know what will.
Yeah, a lot of people criticize No-Tail, I think, but he plays a self-sacrifice role so that almost everybody just ignores Miracle. And then all of a sudden they're just like, why is Miracle so farmed? Well, maybe you shouldn't have wasted so much time on No-Tail.
Crit waves goodbye as he TPs out Fnatic, trying to maintain some control over the Radiant jungle, but it's too late to stop Miracle's farm, so what is the ultimate goal here for Fnatic?
I think for Fnatic, just get your Medusa a little bit more farm. She's about to pick up her Scotty. You've demonstrated that the Sven can just kill everybody else on your team, so what you need from the Medusa cap is to get her so big that you can no longer ignore her. Like, oftentimes really bulky heroes, you're just like, okay, you a lot of beef, no bite. So I can just ignore you, kill the rest of your team, and then we can play Ring Around the Rosie with you. You want to be put in a position where you hit so hard that you simply just can't be ignored. Like, your team's like, hey, Miracle, like, you actually have to focus on this guy, but really smart decision to go for the Scotty. Works incredibly well in conjunction with your ultimate against the Sven, slowing him down, wasting a lot of his BKB timer.
Moon snags that boundary rune ahead of Mushi. Mushi is very close to the Scotty now. And unfortunately, that Aegis that they spent so much resources on being able to obtain with all those buybacks, it's actually going to kind of go to waste. They did not take a single objective with that.
Yeah, it's like me and my college degree. I just got into Dota instead. 4 years just to be here.
Yeah, it's okay, buddy. I'm sure you'll always have something to fall back on once your Dota career fails.
It kind of already has, honestly. I mean, my mom respects Merlini more than she does me. Like, in a Dota context, even she knows. She's like, I know Ben's a little bit further than you. So how do you close the gap? Like, rude.
Oh, she's gonna love her son-in-law more than her actual son.
Hey, don't jinx it, but OG, they're gonna run up with Miracle. At the front is Fnatic. This Sven is...
He's a
How do you
beast.
stop
There is so much. They're going to have to use so much kiting. They do have the right heroes to do it, right? They've got 2 disables to be able to go through BKB in the Roar, as well as the Black Hole. They've got a Quaswex Invoker. Once that BKB is down, it's going to be so tough to get through. And then they are also eventually going to have a Scotty Mushi, but Moon, who tried to find an opening there, ran into the Dusa, and that's the last person he wants to try and lasso at this point.
I almost feel like Miracle still kind of needs a gap closing item, though.
Yeah.
I understand why he's going for this, because his team is doing a pretty good job of kiting for him, but it would be kind of helpful for him to be able to get on top of the Invoker and two-shot him. Especially when Mushi's just gonna, pop the Stone Gaze. But now has the Scotty. OG don't want to really commit for this, especially since Mushi's the one in the forefront.
Yeah. Miracle's got to find some sort of way to get to that back line if Mushi's going to be constantly posturing himself on the front.
Yeah, that's what you really want if you're Fnatic, is you just want to play behind this Medusa, allow your team to space out, and make it so that you have to crawl to get to the rest of the backline. And OG, they want to do the opposite, obviously. They want to get their Sven on top of the heroes that die really quickly and turn it into a numbers game.
That was close. That Primal Roar almost went out from Ohio. The Flame Break just there in time to be able to stop him. With the double damage on Mushi, that is not a fight that OG want to take, but everyone's kind of stalling out. Nobody's farming, really. It's just the carry on both sides, and both teams are kind of 5-banning.
Nobody really wants to get caught out on the side of Fnatic, and same with OG, but Fnatic are immediately going to smoke up. I don't know if OG are going to anticipate this. They might just think that Fnatic is going to farm out a little bit. Oh, they're going to know after the Forge Spirits were just summoned
They're going to come forward. Primal Roar leading things off. He's not going to be able to get off of BKB until he's taken the majority of this damage. He finally pushes for it.
These are the
Omelet as well, but still, the Scotty and all the Omelet toggle. It's actually keeping him alive a little bit longer, but the last one does not work out. Now the glimpse right on back. Good blink forward there from Fly. Last half second will be able to survive. There is a buyback on our Sven, and it may be necessary as Fnatic just going to keep on pushing forward. They've already popped the linkage, but Moon, oh, he doesn't actually get off that lasso. Opportunity lost there from our offlaner of OG, and Fnatic, they're going to try and snag him. They bring him right back with a glimpse, and now that may be, again, a forced buyback here from Miracles. They don't have one on Moon.
Yeah, Mushi is too strong right now for them to deal without their Sven, and OG, they're going to have to make the decision. Are we going to give this up? We're not going to have the Batrider for this fight, but maybe it's enough just to...
Oh, pickoff after pickoff. Fly gets brought right back onto the ice wall.
Okay, now he's not going to buy back.
No, this is full committal. They're losing lane racks.
OG not respecting that disruptor, but Fnatic are going to just back out.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they had to do that. The Batrider wasn't going to be up soon enough, and the Sven at that point isn't going to commit to the buyback, right? And they use the glyph. Which, agree, disagree?
Yeah, maybe they were... Okay, Roshan is up, so at least they can back up and do that objective. They were a bit low on mana, so maybe they were worried about that, but I'm still with you.
Yeah,
still think they could have taken it.
They had Eidolons plus Ohio's level 4 Inner Beast, and them with... Yeah, I'm almost certain they could have done that, but they're going to go for the safer choice instead. And Fnatic is really impressing me right now.
Is it though? OG, we already talked about the power of that Batrider near the Roshan pit, and Fnatic do have to back themselves away. They've already got a track onto net. Lincoln's isn't going to dispel much, but will protect net on his way out. Moon, he finally does get a grab here. It's going to be on mid one. They also blow the global silence. One hero instantly out for Fnatic. Fnatic are still going to try and turn though. Miracles pop his BKB. They've got the black hole opportunity on the two. There's something they don't stop it either. They're just ripping through both of these heroes inside of the black hole. Glimpse right on back. They're going to be able to find no tail as well. They thought that one pick off in the Evoker meant Fnatic wouldn't be able to turn like that, but Ohio and his boys, they show otherwise.
And that's going to be the Roshan and the Cheese for Fnatic. I'm not sure how OG is going to be able to hold this. Such a great black hole from DJ. I mean, they just waited, they waited. He was so patient with that. He's like, this is going to be the fight changer. Comes in with the BKB, understands that there's nothing left to be able to break that. And Fnatic, they didn't even have to use the Stone Gaze for Mushi. That's the most troubling sign for OG, is that the fight wasn't even as bad as it could have been, and they still wanted clear cut. And they lost mid one too. Like, almost immediately. That's their second core hero. Oftentimes, that's kind of how I look at fights, Cap. I'm like, okay, what was the ideal scenario for both teams? OG, they picked off the mid one Invoker immediately. They got a decent global silence and a lasso off, and they still could not contest in that fight.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. DJ gets a pretty damn good black hole, and now with the Aegis and Cheese for Fnatic, they are very much ready, I think, to take a lane of racks.
OG are going to have to just... Because of how that fight went, OG just, they know they have to flat out outmaneuver them, outposition them. You can't just take a headlong fight, even if it looks ideal at first.
OG at this point, in order to stop that, do need to look for a quick pickoff before Fnatic barrel 5-man down a lane, right?
Yeah. I don't think they have enough presence to be able to go for the split push, nor do they have the heroes. And they do have a decent amount of comeback potential, though, with the Bounty Hunter. I don't want to make it sound as if things are too bleak, but at some point you're going to have to deal with this Mushi Medusa, who, despite having a poor laning phase, is more than caught up.
Ned moving himself around, has some good aggressive vision. He's going to couple it with another counter ward to see if he can catch the Bounty Hunter. Their vision has been really on point.
Yeah, and Fnatic, they're in a pretty good spot right now to continue to push. They're going to go for this objective really quickly, but I think you immediately just head towards the mid one. That sounded weird.
They've already taken the tier 3 tower, so mid lane racks does sound a bit easier to take.
This is going to be a free one for them, as I don't know how OG, they probably don't want to give up this Rex, but I'm not sure how they defend it against the Aegis Medusa. They gonna have to rack their brains for this one.
Yeah, and if they just give up this lane of racks, then Fnatic can just move to second lane. They've already taken down both the tier 2s, and they've got plenty of time to work with this Aegis cheese.
Yeah, they're waiting for Mushi to just get a little bit bigger. Wonder what item he's gonna go for. Probably finishes up the Manta at some point. And they don't really have to wait for any other items. Like, everybody's got what they came for. And while that time has been spent, here comes the refresher orb. So as long as No Tail plays a positioning game, can almost always cancel that black hole, and they need to. We saw how effective just one black hole has been in this game.
It's going to be pretty devastating if OG can actually somehow bait this out where they lead with the Bad Rider, right? Global Silence is used the first time around when they go for the lasso pullback. And then you're thinking, oh, well, I've got the BKB, I can jump in as Enigma, go for the black hole, but now we have a refresher on the field.
They're waiting for Mushi to get his butterfly, which I think is a really good decision. You already struggle to kill this hero. Miracle is nowhere. He doesn't have the MKB. He probably could go for one after eating the moon shards, but you put him in an awkward position because then he wouldn't have buyback. So Mushi's just gonna wait out just a little bit, and it'll be well worth the time.
So is this ignore Mushi time? Is the it's always a little bit of a trade with a Medusa, right? The damage versus the tankiness. Right now, he's just too tanky to go for.
I think he does. I think with this butterfly, he deals too much damage now, though. Like, the split shot is gonna be absurd. Nobody can really handle it, I think, on OG. They do have heroes that have high armor, and that initial Warcry is gonna be really important, Cap. But, and we'll see. You've got to deal with Mushi, though. He's no longer a hero you can just ignore in these fights.
Fnatic playing very patiently right now, trying to
I think you just
set up the perfect fights. Every single one of these lane pushes, Fnatic's like, no, not yet. Now they find the opening, they're going to be able to jump onto Miracle with the roar. There's the counterplay from Moon with the Global Sounds already laid out. Here comes the black hole, but Global Sounds number 2 is out. Mushi, two-man stun coming out from Fly with a beautiful figure of death. Wasn't quite enough. They managed to get out the cheese. Mushi trying to make his way back. The Lincoln managed to block the stun. Mushi is only down to half HP, and he still has the Aegis. Beautiful ice wall there from mid 1, but a Fly stun onto 2 will be able to prevent Fnatic from moving forward. Miracle now challenging Mushi, finally going to be able to take him out, but he's going to lose his life underneath this static storm, it seems like, unless he can make use some sort of block. No, he gets comes right back and he's already dead. Mushi with life number 2 now on the front line with the Lincolns, doesn't really care, he's going to start beating on the racks. OG have lost 2 heroes for over a minute with no buyback. Fnatic, they may very well turn this from 1 lane of racks into 2.
I think they're going to be able to get everything, honestly. Mushi, you saw how difficult it was to kill him the first time around. He was in the thick of things, it didn't even matter. Fnatic are going to take everything. They've come for more than just 1 set of racks.
The Enigma has a refresher, so the counter to the counter. Mushi with the alacrity is very quickly eating through this bottom lane of racks. OG at best will have to fight at top over Mega Creeps.
Yeah, 18 seconds.
Back, they just cannot afford to lose anybody here while posturing to defend.
54 seconds is feeling like an eternity right now for OG.
It really is. Oh, another one. Mid 1 jumps in with the ice wall. There's just no escape for most of these heroes.
If you're a Fnatic fan right now, you're feeling it as OG, there's almost no chance they're going to be able to hold this as they're going to just barrel straight for that top tower.
All right. This is the last stand here for OG. Still another 25 seconds for Miracle. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. There's the 2-man black hole from DJ. Takes the opportunity while these heroes are still down and forcing OG to call that GG. A potential upset in both of our lower bracket games as Fnatic take game number 1 over OG.
That end decision, by the way, to constantly go for that Aegis and prioritize the Aegises and fight around their Medusa, eventually pays off for Fnatic, as that hero is way too difficult for OG to deal with.
And at the end, Blitz, if you could identify one thing that really went wrong for OG, what was it?
They just had to have their other 2 lanes go better. The Silencer didn't get